Hello and welcome to Microsoft Digital Now. I'm Andrew Wilson, Microsoft's Chief Digital Officer. Today, technology is at the heart of every business. Its mission criticality, its speed is something we're all having to deal with. On this series of conversations, I'm looking forward to speaking with friends, industry leaders, both within Microsoft and across the industry, about how they're tackling digital and wider business transformation. So let's get to it. Boeing, the global aerospace organization, one of the most recognized and respected brands on the planet. And today, I'm delighted to welcome two senior leaders from the technology organization at Boeing, Wendy and Linda. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, I'm really excited to hear about how things are going at Boeing and the role of digital transformation there. But before we go that way, could you tell us a little bit about your roles in the team over at Boeing?
Absolutely. And thank you. And we're really excited to be talking about it today with you too. So for myself, I've been with the company about 30 years and I've had a variety of different roles. And that's one of the fantastic things about Boeing is you're always kind of changing and doing exciting things. But currently is probably my most exciting role ever. I'm working in the commercial division of Boeing, and I actually get to work with this wonderful colleague next to me, Linda. And the most exciting part of our job right now is we are developing the digital future for Boeing. And through the products and decisions that we're getting to make and to be part of, we're going to actually change the way our future product is developed. So that's probably the most exciting part of my job right now today.
So Linda, you work closely with Wendy. In fact, you're sisters.
Exactly.
Linda, what's your role?
So my role, I'm the Vice President of Digital Transformation for Boeing Commercial Airplanes. And my role is to leverage technology to develop the game-changing changes in the way that we do our work for airplane design and development, and partner closely with our engineering teams and what we call our product development team to really innovate and change the way that we go about design and setting up that future airplane program for success.
Is the role of technology leadership changing? And if so, how have you experienced that both in the work that you're leading?
Oh, gosh. I think it has tremendously changed over the years. And I think the complexities that we deal with today, for example, when you think about building an airplane product, we have no margin for error. So our specifications get down to think about the strand of a human hair, right? So the complexity and the technologies and the changes that we're making are huge. And so the way as a leader you have to come into that is you have to go into it knowing you're not going to know all the answers, right? And you have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. You have to really seek out and listen and understand where are the challenges that you got to develop around. But I think the most fundamental thing that I see, at least for myself and for my teams, is that you've got to be able to do that with grit and grace, right? It's relentless pursuit of the change. And if you do that, I think that you'll be successful in what you try to endeavor.
Yeah, and along the same lines, I think about, one of the core strengths as a leader in digital transformation that we seek is being able to see the problems of the business and the challenges of the business as a system. So I always say systems thinking. Mm-hmm. For example, when you think about technology as a change or as a change enabler, first, before you get to the technology part, you got to understand the problem part. Mm-hmm. And so in our business, as Wendy said, it's very complex sometimes. And so that leader that can get in with the team, understand the system, understand the challenge of the system, and then see technology as an enabler, that's really the leadership attributes and quality we need in a team. As an example, I was the systems chief engineer for the 767 program in Everett. Mm-hmm. My job was to lead all of the electrical engineers that were building the airplane. And we had a problem on the tanker, which was very complex design and build. And the way that we had built airplanes before, was paper-based. Our electricians, they get their wiring diagrams, looks like a blueprint for your house, for example. It's 2D information in black and white.
Huge piles of paper.
Lots of paper. It was sufficient, but once the level of complexity got beyond, what we were used to, then it was no longer sufficient. And we realized, as an example in that system, that we needed something different to solve that problem. We didn't need more paper. We didn't need more views. We actually needed to change the way we did our work. And that's when we started to head towards 3D work instructions, model-based work instructions, giving our mechanics laptops instead of drawings. And then taking it to the next level was working through augmented reality, using the Microsoft HoloLens device to really change the game. And that's like one of my favorite examples of digital transformation, because the problem we're solving is really about engineering intent. How do we have the least path of friction between the designer and then the user? And that visual connection between we design in 3D, we should build in 3D, is accomplished through 3D work instructions, but taken to the next level with augmented reality, because now you're talking about a hologram of your work, projecting the work onto the airplane fuselage in a confined space where hands-free is actually an enabler and a benefit. And with that, we're talking about an increase in first-pass quality, the ability for our teams to get that complexity right the first time, as well as like an increase in overall time to do the job. Like we get better. When we get better, we get faster as well. Okay. So, these type of leadership skills of looking at the problem, understanding solution, and then what technology can solve it is what I think is really key.
Being embedded in the heart of the business, which I think technologists are finding is more and more the mission critical role. It struck me, there isn't anything much more mission critical than a 767, or in fact anything with wings.
Exactly.
But it's exciting surely in this industry, and particularly at this time, and I know we've all seen disruption with the pandemic. More broadly, what are the digital transformation trends that are happening in Boeing right now, and how much did they change through the period of the pandemic?
Yeah, so it was interesting when we went into the pandemic, I think, because, we were a lot more ready than we thought we'd be for something like that. In fact, the ability to move people home using some of the great products that we have, we were much more adaptable in that than we thought we would be. And we got operational really quick again, like most companies. But the interesting thing when you go through a crisis like that, I think it sparks innovation, and it sparks innovation in a much more rapid pace. So one of the really great things that Boeing did during that time is we institutionalized a thing called the Confident Travel Initiative, which was really taking us back to the core of what the business is about, which is safety and quality, and building confidence back in the flying public. How to get back on a plane and feel safe again. One of the really cool innovations that we came up with is actually we had been working on it, but it really sparked the acceleration of that was UV lighting within cabins, so that you can go in and disinfect an airplane in a matter of minutes. Where, if you've ever traveled internationally before, they go in with all the spray cans and it's like, and everybody's like overwhelmed with it.
Takes 3 hours.
Exactly. So imagine now, now you go in with a UV light and you're able to disinfect in a much, quicker pace. So it sparks innovation for us, and that's one of the things that I think really came out of out of COVID that was a benefit to the flying public and frankly the world. So.
And you reacted to that. You reprioritized.
Exactly.
So looking forward, transformation clearly at the heart of your business, your product. What are you excited about in terms of the next horizon for digital inside your organization?
There's so much stuff.
Yeah.
And please tell us some secrets.
Oh, yeah.
It's all exciting. But when I think about, our role, and we're focused on the future of Boeing, which is the next commercial airplane, next airplane that we're going to develop and then fly. Digital transformation is at the heart of that journey. Our CEOs talked about we will not start that next airplane without some game-changing technologies. And that's so exciting. And why? For example, I think about, something that's talked about a lot in the tech community right now is the metaverse, right? How does that apply to airplanes? Well, it absolutely applies to our development process. When we design and build an airplane, we're talking about a design project at massive scale. We're talking about thousands of engineers getting together to design a very complex product around the world. Also our suppliers are around the world. We're not all co-located. So we are going to leverage the metaverse as our virtual design environment, and we have been already. For example, we call it e-create before you aviate. We take our design models, we build up the airplane and the factory, the production system that it's going to be built in, and we put all those design models in a massive digital virtual environment, and we give access to that environment to our partners, suppliers, and designers around the world. And we iterate thousands of times in the virtual world before the physical world. Why? Because when we're doing things that are really hard and really complicated, we don't want to find things out in flight tests. We don't want to find things out, which is what happens. We don't want to find things out in flight tests. We don't want to find things out once we're already cutting metal. We want to find the things that we need to learn together early in the digital metaverse. And previously, I'd say that before this convergence of technology to this moment, it wasn't really ready for that level of accuracy and high performance computing. And we're there now. And so we are going to leverage the heck out of that type of technology to change the game.
It strikes me that the technology sector needs to continue to step up. Your point there about the metaverse. Wendy, from your perspective, as you look at technologists like myself who are trying to provide services to the industry, in this case, Boeing, where do you look to say, technologists, you need to do better here? Where are you encouraging technology to move more quickly to meet your business needs?
I think one of the biggest challenges for us right now is there's this immense amount of technology coming at us, right? And the convergence of that technology, as Linda said, is just so important. What we really need to learn how to do is harness it, right? How do we better leverage AI capabilities, ML capabilities, analytics? How do we get much more predictive about things so that we're not solving problems when they happen, but we're solving problems before they happen? And I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges for us right now is harnessing the power of all the capabilities that are there. And getting a lot more predictive, right? A lot more predictive.
And trying to work out what to bring to market at what rate.
Exactly.
The market being your employee base, your customer base, the customer channel.
Exactly.
It strikes me that one of the best things that ever happened to me on a plane was meeting you.
I know.
And amazingly, we didn't get thrown off either. But I could speak with you ladies for hours about Boeing, but thank you for sharing that little bit of insight. But before you go, I'm just intrigued. You both have senior leadership roles. You can't possibly imagine that presumably you in these roles when you were growing up. So to each of you, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Okay, I'll start on this one. I don't know if I knew what I wanted to be, but I knew there wouldn't be things that held me back. And I was very fortunate when I was 5 years old. I'll just tell you a little story. My grandfather was a vice admiral in the Navy, and he took me to the Admirals Club for my 5th birthday, the real Admirals Club, by the way, not the American Airlines Admirals Club. And he stood me up on stage and he said to all his colleagues, he said, "This is my granddaughter, and someday she's going to be president of the United States." And if you kind of reflect back, I said I've been with company 30 years, so you can imagine that was a long, long time ago, where women weren't really in the forefront of technology and business leaders and things like that. But he had the foresight to see something different. And I think because he said those words to me, I never felt like I was held back for any reason. So I've been very fortunate working for a company like Boeing that promotes diversity and all kinds of great things. And I've been afforded some really awesome opportunities. So that's why I am where I am. I love this company. And
you've become your own great role model for the workforce and for, I know, a lot of people who respect and support everything that you've done so far in your career. So
thank you.
What about you, Linda?
Well, for me, I think about, back in high school, we had this motto, it was Latin, Luceat Lux Vestra, let your light shine. And we were taught always, and it was an all-girls school, to capture your strengths and go do, what you want to do, and that girls can do anything. I mean, it was really honed in. And I, at the time, was just like many of us, like fascinated by flight. I grew up in Australia. It felt like a long way from the rest of the world. I knew I wanted to travel. And then the other thing was, Luceat Lux Vestra, I did not want to be average. I wanted to be really good at what I did. And I knew I was good at math and science. So I was like, not many women do math and science. I'm going to do engineering. And I'm so glad I did, because get to see the world, work for a company like Boeing, and I feel like, you know, that don't be average, like go do something with purpose that lights your fire. For me, that is, you know, being part of the history of aviation, working on airplanes, and this purpose for me, which is connecting people together across the world. And I just love what I do. And I think it started with that sort of very beginning of belief and also like leveraging your strengths, let your light shine, go do whatever you dream to do.
And you certainly have. Thank you. In a word, any hobby or interest that developed during the pandemic, very briefly? Perhaps you were first.
Mine is a little random. As you know, like many of us became teachers as a second job during COVID. My kids were young, in fact, kindergarten. And so
that was easy then?
Well, it was so difficult. But the blessing was like I got to really spend time with her, and our hobby was to raise butterflies. We would go out into the garden. This is in California. We called ourselves the egg snatchers. We'd snatch monarch butterfly eggs as they laid them, and then we'd raise them in our lounge room. And we ended up raising and releasing like about 50 personally named butterflies together during COVID, helped them as an endangered species, but also like created amazing memories. She refers to herself now as the butterfly expert. And I feel like she'll always remember that. And I feel like it's special that time that we had in the end, even though it was hard.
What about you, Wendy?
I would say briefly, probably not as lovely as Linda's story, but I did become a better cook. But more importantly, I taught my husband how to cook, which is fantastic. And I'm benefiting from that now. So,
and he speaks about that very confidently.
Exactly. He does.
Just before we say goodbye, we wanted to, on behalf of everybody on the show and here at Microsoft, say thank you very much for spending time with us today. So we'd like to leave you with a little gift. And I was struck there, Linda, by you connecting across the world. So just on behalf of us, everybody here, I've got a planet for you. So this, Linda, is for you. It's Lego because it's a globe. And one of my hobbies in lockdown was building in Lego. So this is for you from us. Now, because I know Wendy outside of work, I'm struck by a number of things, including your love of your family and the love of your doggy. So here's a little Lego doggy for you. But you've noticed it's not quite as big as the planet.
I love it.
But I also know about your love of food and cooking, and so I wanted to give you a little gift certificate as well.
Aww.
Here you are. It's for Thai food.
Oh my goodness.
It's unlimited. What could possibly go wrong, and that's from us as well.
Thank you so much. It was
Wendy,
so kind.
Linda, thank you very much for joining us on Microsoft Digital Now today.
Thank you for having us.